the beef sector can turn into a rabbit hole, just like everything else on the internet. Once the AIs receive info on what you clicking, they'll send you more of that. If you're new to the beef sector on YouTube, you may not want to get your paws dirty, especially if you're a content creator, because trash talking can easily lead to doxing and community guideline strikes, etc. And if you're not ready to talk trash about a person every day, all day, then that sector is not for you. On first glance, though, it's entertaining, because that sector does have some of the funniest jokes you could ever find. But when it gets old, it gets stale. And then it gets boring. And from boring to pathetic, once the entertainment value leaves. You can always tell when a beef goes stale because the combatants will start getting personal and doing grimy things offline to each other. That's when it's going stale. And that's also how literal beef goes. I mean, if you cook a steak much longer than well done, it just becomes a burnt piece of meat, no matter how much you pay for it. It can be filet mignon, but it's worthless if you cook it way past well done. And you could barely chew it, let alone digest it. On both the viewer and the participants, they still get tired of chewing the material. Because at the end of the day, beef doesn't add life force to the human mind. So it takes much more effort to keep that going in a creative way. In a way that is tasteful enough to keep your channel alive. It's like comparing candy to food. Yeah, candy tastes better, but it ain't gonna fill you up. And if you eat too much of it, you're gonna get both a headache and a stomach ache. See, even in the beef sector, the content creators, they eventually post other forms of content that have nothing to do with the beef. The challenge is nearly an impossible feat of posting like 15 videos of dogging someone out without repeating yourself over and over. Another sign of a beef going stale is when opposing content creators do commentaries on their opponent's videos. I wouldn't advise the beef sector if you're monetized under 10K subs, because you'll be working too hard for that check. It's not even a question of whether or not you'll need another source of income, unless you live a very, very minimalistic lifestyle. One of the biggest examples of the beef sector being a black hole is the red pill community. Just to mention the red pill, it doesn't even make you think of Morpheus from the Matrix anymore. It makes you think of the war between players and incels and the battle of the sexes all over again. That's what beef could do when it's professed as an entire movement. Now, with that being said, be very careful about trolls. It takes an exceptional amount of wisdom to respond to them in a way that doesn't warrant, a back and forth and a major divergence from your channel's original message. I've seen a lot of good channels go bad just off a few trolls. Trolls can be a direct gateway to the beef sector energy. That way, if you're not even in the beef sector per se, you could become your own private beef sector, just going with a constant back and forth between you and the negative troll. If your emotional IQ is not high enough, don't respond with disrespect. Respond with polite education. Don't add disrespect to disrespect if that's not what your channel is about, because the algorithm will reroute you so quickly that you might think you've been shadow banned. You can have 5 million subs and one beef can bring your replays down to the level of a creator who's not even monetized yet. And at the end of the day, social media works the same way money does. It just makes you more what you already are. I don't even know how big the beef sectors are compared to the rest of social media, but I do see an intense scrubbing of content taking place all over the internet. Certain stuff that was too hot for TV is not even on the internet anymore.